All right. Hello everyone, and welcome to today's class on DocuSign 101. My name is Leah with Scott Lavoie Marketing. In today's class, we'll be going over all the DocuSign basics. So I'll be showing you how the entire process works, how you can utilize DocuSign to fill out your forms, send that to your clients to be signed, and then add those documents to your opportunity within KW Command to submit that to your Market Center for review. Okay, so we'll be going over the whole process. I have notes and little videos to help you through this as well, so let's get going. So first things first, we need to log into KW Command actually in order to access DocuSign. Okay, so this is very similar to how dotloop was, right? We always logged into my KW to access dotloop. Same concept. So if we'll go to command at agent.kw.com, you can see that on the top of my screen. Again, that's agent.kw.com. It's your agent login for kw.com. Makes sense. If you have not already, it's really great to go ahead and bookmark KW Command to your toolbar at the top. Alright, so if you're in Chrome, usually there's a star on the bar there, so you can bookmark that right away. And now logging in. So your username and password for KW Command is the same thing as your Kelly app and your My KW platform. I don't know about you, but I have enough passwords to remember, so this is a beautiful thing. Username, not case sensitive. Password is case sensitive, so it does require a capital letter. That helps you at all. You can always click Forgot Password as needed and click Sign In. Okay, so that will take you right on into your KW Command dashboard here. So something that is a little outside of the DocuSign, okay, but something they just added that I'm really excited about. I think they added this maybe a week or two ago, but they are now showing you your leads on your KW Command dashboard. It's hidden, so I didn't see it for a really long time. It's all the way at the bottom. So if you scroll down your dashboard, you might see a section named Recent Leads, which is awesome. I love that it's on your dashboard. But obviously it'd be nice if we can move it up to make it more visual right when I log in. So if you guys would like to move up your leads to the top here, all you need to do, so I'm on the command dashboard, this should be showing up right when you log in. All right, it's the page that looks like a little home on the left-hand side menu. All we need to do is click Customize Home here. All right, you'll see here, this shows you your layout right here as far as where things are on your home page. So if you click these little 6 dots in a rectangle and hold your mouse, you can move leads up to the very top of this list instead. Okay, and if you guys missed how I got to this pop-up to begin with, I clicked on Customize Home on the top right of your command dashboard. Then on the right hand side, I went ahead and I took leads and I clicked the little dots and dragged it up to the very top. So now when I click apply, I will have all my leads at the top. So, any leads that are coming in from your website, your mobile app, maybe a Facebook ad campaign, okay, those will be right here. So you can make sure you reach out to them right away. So obviously that doesn't have a whole lot to do with DocuSign. I just really like this new feature. Wanted to show you guys that in case you haven't seen it. So now let's switch gears to what this class is about, and that would be DocuSign. So we need to do just a slight bit of homework first to make sure your DocuSign account is hooked up to Command, so you can use that. So to do that, go ahead and click on your name on the top right of Command, and then Settings from that drop down. So again, we're clicking on our name on the very top right of Command, and then Settings from that drop down. Oh, that's fun. Hold on, Command kicked me out real quick. All right, we're back. All right, so I'm in my settings, right, from my name on the top right, and we need to verify that DocuSign is on this list of your connected apps, and it's showing connected. Okay, so you might have to scroll down. So at the top of this list here is your connected apps. So I kind of like to think of Command as an iPhone in the sense of, right, you have an iPhone, it can do a lot of really great things, but you can also add other apps from the App Store so that my iPhone can do even more. Same concept here. So with these connected apps, right, Command can do a whole lot on its own, but you can connect up apps here so that it can do even more. So make sure you scroll down to find DocuSign on your list here and make sure that's showing connected. If it does not, if it's prompting you to connect it on the right-hand side, go ahead and do that. And if you have any trouble with it, I do have a short little video on how to connect DocuSign to Command. And honestly, it gets a little funky. So if you have any trouble or get any error messages as you're connecting DocuSign up, go ahead and email support@scottleroymarketing.com. All right, and they can make sure your DocuSign account is linked up to Command so you can use that properly right away. All right, so that's it. That's all the boring stuff. So now we can get rolling into the fun DocuSign practice. So in order to create a room in DocuSign, right, we have to first have a contact in our database. So that is the very first step. All right, so I'm going to walk you guys through these steps, and I'll call them out so you can jot them down on your notes. I do also have DocuSign notes in general. So here you go. These are the DocuSign notes, so if you want to print those out, it's just a Google Sheet, so you can click on it, it'll open a Google Sheet. You can print it out, stick it on in your office, so that when you're going through a DocuSign transaction, you can always reference that. Just a heads up. All right, but the first step of what we need to do is create a contact in our database. So we'll go on over to the contact database in Command. So in Command, everything is centralized to this left side menu, which I love. It makes navigation so much easier. And as you're starting to learn this menu on the left-hand side, just note that you can click on the KW logo on the top left, to pull out that menu so you can see what each one of these icons does as you start to memorize and learn the navigation. Just a quick tip there, but we are in the contact section, icon that looks like two little guys hanging out. And we need to add a test contact. So to do that, let's go ahead and click on Add Contact on the very top right. Add contact, top right here. Always great to have a test contact in your database so you can practice things like Smart Plan emails or DocuSign or sending an email campaign to yourself first before you send that to your client, of course. So let's see, who do I want to do today? I've been watching The Office a lot lately, so maybe I'll do Pam Beasley. All right, and whoops. All right, and under Pam's name, I want to go ahead and put in an email address. I would recommend putting in a personal email address that you have. So again, you can practice sending yourself emails or seeing what it looks like when you're contacted via DocuSign to sign something. So go ahead and put in a personal email address. All right. So all we need for this practice contact right now is a name and an email address. And click Create. Okay, so I'm going to try again and call out the steps of this process because this process is a little different than Dotloop. And while it's a little irritating to learn new software, trust me, I've been right there with you guys this whole time. Right, it's just about learning a new process, and I promise within a couple months it will feel second nature. You will zoom through this, so try to be patient. Take this quarantine as a silver lining to learn these processes. So step 1 in the process, we added a contact in. Step 2, we need to create an opportunity. Okay, you've probably been hearing the word opportunity quite a bit in your Market Center, so let me show you what that is. So on the left-hand side menu, we are clicking on the icon that looks like a handshake to get to our opportunities section. Okay, so again, we're clicking on the icon that looks like a handshake on the left-hand side. This is your opportunities section. And we are going to click Create Opportunity on the very top right. Now, before we do that, if this is your first time into this opportunity section, let me quickly tell you what this section does. And I also have a whole, training class on this as well. I think I taught that last week. But what this section is going to be a very visual tool for you. So this is your lead to close visual tool. So you'll be able to add opportunities like we're about to do. Okay, so if you meet someone in the grocery store, right, they mention they are interested in buying a home. You can create an opportunity, right? This is an opportunity for you to close a transaction, for you to make some commission here. So you create an opportunity, you can put them in one of these 5 phases. So are they in the cultivate stage where you're working on growing the relationship? Do you have an appointment? Are they active, under contract, or our favorite phase, closed? Okay, so this is where you can see, how many opportunities do I have in each phase, and within each phase, you can actually create to-do lists for yourself, like action items of, okay, what items do I need to do in order to get this opportunity from the cultivate phase to turn it into an actual appointment, right? So I really like that feature. Again, check out slmtraining.com for the opportunities class. I just taught that last week. Great class to watch with DocuSign as it really pulls it all together. All right, so that was a quick overview for you there, but let's go into practice and actually create an opportunity on the top right, and I promise it'll start to make a lot more sense as we go through this. So create opportunity on the top right. And now you only have to fill out the fields that have a red asterisk by it. So when you guys are really doing this in real life, you'll be able to fly through this. I'm going to explain the fields, so it'll take a little longer, but in real life, you'll be able to do this really quickly. So market center, if you are part of more than one market center, make sure you're selecting the correct market center from this list. There's no way to change that. If you are on a team and you want your rainmaker to be able to see your opportunity, you can go ahead and select your team name here. Opportunity type, whether that's a listing, buyer, landlord, or tenant. Okay, so in today's class, I'm going to do listing just for this practice. Owner, slightly confusing. Okay, it's not talking about the owner of the property. That's talking about the owner of the opportunity. So this will always say your name unless you're on a team, and then it will say your rainmaker's name, and you'll be listed as the assignee in the details. Client. So this is where it comes into play that you would have had to add your client into the contact section first in order to bring that client in. So you'll just start typing in that client name that we just added, and it should pull up. But again, this will only pull up if the contact's in your contact database already. Just heads up. And you can add a co-seller as well if there's a spouse on the transaction, for example. But again, they'd have to be in your database first. Just making sure I've heard that they're working on updating that though. Opportunity name. So typically you want to name this the property address, especially if it's a listing and you know the listing address. Okay, it's how your market center will search for your listing to add things like the earnest money receipt and so forth. So we'll go ahead and name this, let's see, 444 DocuSign Rocks Drive. Okay, and you really just need the street address. You don't need city, state, and so forth. I always like to also leave the client's name, and that's a listing. Okay, another important reason that it's important that you add the address here is you can see these opportunities from the contact record itself. So if your contact goes to buy multiple properties, it's really nice to be able to see, which property were they purchasing in this opportunity. All right, we're scrolling on down. So these fields do not have a red star next to it, so you do not have to fill that out. So I'm jumping on down to the next red star, the red asterisk. Commission rate for your size specifically. All right, 3%. Even if you don't know it quite yet, you can just put it in the default. And now opportunity phase and opportunity stage, these are correlating to those stages that we were just talking about, right? The cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, closed. Okay, that's what the opportunity phases are. So depending on where you are in this in the process with this opportunity, you can select that from here. Okay, so I'll go ahead and leave that in cultivate. Okay, so that's the very first one. I'm trying to grow the relationship. In opportunity stage, this will make more sense once you watch the opportunity video, but there are stages within there. You can just leave that on the default in summary. All right, and we can click create. All right, so click create on the very bottom. And when you're doing this in real life, you can really just fly through that, right? Because we just need to fill out the fields that have that red asterisk and click create. And that will take you on over to the opportunity details here. So I see my details right from here. I can edit any of this information by simply clicking on this pencil icon at the top. Anytime you see that pencil icon, guys, that means to edit in Command. Okay. You can mark the opportunity as lost from here. And watch out for this though. There's a way to archive. You can also archive your opportunities and mark them as lost. Okay, you only want to mark it as a lost opportunity. You know, if the contract falls through for whatever reason, right, then you can mark it as lost, but this will reflect on your CGI. So from here, so the property information, we can go ahead, if it is your listing, you can actually click select from listings at the top here, and that will pull in the property detail information here and also into DocuSign for you. So it autofills the property info, and you can just watch on my screen if you'd like, but I'll go ahead and click on select from listings here. So I'm clicking select from listings near the top left of my screen. And by default, it will show you only your listings first, which makes sense typically, okay? So you should, in theory, just be able to go ahead and click on your listing right from here. In this case, since I'm doing a practice, I'm going to switch that over to all listings. Okay, and once those listings display, I can scroll on down, and then I'm going to just go ahead and click select to the right of whichever property to pull that in. And feel free to do the same if you want to see how this works so you can have a practice. And you'll see once I added that listing, it filled in all the property detail information right here. And again, that will pull into DocuSign as well. So that's a good time saver. All right, so this is the detail section. So the next logical question is, how do I get into DocuSign, right? So to do that, we would actually go to the document section right from the opportunity. So I'm in my opportunity and I clicked on documents. Now I'll come back to what this document section does here. Okay, this is to submit documents to your office for review. But more importantly, for this point in class, it is how you access your DocuSign account from KW Command. So again, in my opportunity, I clicked on the documents section. And then on the right-hand side, I'll see a box that says Start a Transaction. Now, don't go further quite yet, just so I can explain some important details here. So first of all, if you do see, first of all, if you've clicked on Start a Transaction previously, it'll turn into, say, Go to Transaction, I believe. After that, though, once you select DocuSign or .loop, you only have the option to select this once, and then this opportunity is forever linked to one of these systems. So if you do have the option to select one or the other, DocuSign or .loop, just make sure you're choosing carefully, because again, you won't be able to switch this decision once you make it. So if your office is switching to DocuSign, go ahead and click on the DocuSign option, especially for today's class. All right, so start your transaction, and then we'll click on DocuSign. And it is super, super, super important that you do it this way when you go to access DocuSign, so that it creates a DocuSign room for you linked to that opportunity. And I'll explain that more if that sounded like a different language. So it will prompt you to log into DocuSign the first time that you do that in your day on this browser for security reasons. So go ahead and put in your DocuSign username and password here. And I'll give you a second to go ahead and log into DocuSign. And while you're working on logging in, I just want to explain that point I made just a second ago one more time. So it is very, very important that you follow the steps that we just did in order to create your DocuSign room for the first time. Now, if you've been hearing the word DocuSign rooms a lot and you have no idea what that means, it's okay. I had that same question when DocuSign first launched. It's like, what the heck is a DocuSign room? Okay, to answer that question for you, it's the same thing as a loop. So there are loops in .loop. There are rooms in DocuSign. So it's just your transaction, right? It's where all your documents sits for the transaction and so forth, okay? So they're called rooms in DocuSign. Okay, so it's very important that you follow the steps that we just took to create a contact. That was that first step if you're jotting down notes. So step 1, we created a contact. Step 2, we created an opportunity. And step 3, I'm just switching tabs to show you this real quick. We clicked on Start a Transaction in the Document section of our opportunity. Okay. Now I can't stress this enough clearly, as this is my 4th time saying it. All right, but it's really important that you do those steps in that order. The first time that you go to create a DocuSign room for this transaction, because it will then link it up with this opportunity so you can pull in forms. So the first time that you go to create this DocuSign room, do it that way. I know it's kind of a pain. It was like 3 steps. After the first time you do that though, great news. There on out, if you just need to quickly get into DocuSign, guys, you can always go to realestate.docusign.com to log in directly, to skip all those steps, right? It's just quicker to access your room from there. But please, I just want to make sure you understand, you do not want to create rooms from here. The first time that you go to log in, you need to do that from command, okay? Please let me know if you have any questions on that. It's just really important. But after you do it the first time, you can then go to realestate.docusign.com to log in to get to that quicker. Can you go back how you get to documents? Absolutely. So I'm switching tabs. If you're in DocuSign, just stay there, okay? Just stay where you are. That's where we'll be going. If you are in Command, okay, and you're wondering how to get to this document section, right? When I created an opportunity, it took me right into my opportunity details right away, okay? But if you ever get lost or, want to get back in that way, how you can get to that opportunity, you can either click on All Opportunities on the top here, or I know I put that in the cultivate phase, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that phase in my listing pipeline to find that opportunity. Here it is. So basically we're finding our opportunity and clicking on it. That is what we need to do at this point. Once you click on that opportunity name, right? I clicked on the name. I then am able to click on the document section on this white toolbar. And then I have the option to click Start a Transaction. Okay, or it'll say Go to Transaction if you've already created that. Right? So let me know if you have further questions on that. Of course, that's really important. So thank you for asking. I'm sure that clarified it for a lot of other people as well. All right, and that will take you right into your DocuSign room here. Now, the first thing that you want to do when you go into your DocuSign room is actually navigate to the details section. So we're going to pay a lot of attention to this toolbar right here. And we're going to click on the first option, which is details. There's a couple reasons that it's so important to start here. First of all, it's important to start here because it will fill in any information from here onto any forms that you bring into your DocuSign room. So for example, if I come in here, again, I'm in the details, I can click on edit on the top right. And I can fill in any information about the property so that it will autofill into all forms. This is especially great for new agents and you're looking at these 10-page contracts, like where the heck does this information even go on this form, right? I'm sure that's relatable. So in that case, if you fill in this information in the details section of DocuSign where it's straight up prompting you for that info, DocuSign knows where on the form to place this data. So it's a great learning tool as well. And of course, for existing agents, it's a great tool to expedite the process. Now, you can go ahead and put in the address information. Yeah, no problem. You can go ahead and put in the address information, any listing details. Now, some of this info is autofilling for me because I picked the listing in command, right? I searched for the listing, so it's pulling in that data here. But you can scroll through and see all the data that you can put in, so it will autofill for you. Now, aside from it being a great time saver here, you also need to add your contacts in here. So on the right-hand side, you'll see we have Seller 1, and if you scroll down, it'll say Seller 2. Now, this seller here, I want to say this is new. I have not seen that the seller was pulling in from command. That's exciting. Okay, it looks like my seller information is now pulling in from my KW command contact record. That is a new feature. Very cool. All right, you want to make sure that Seller 1 is your client. You mainly need a name and email address, but of course you can add the others. If you scroll down, you'll see a second seller here. I'm just going to go ahead and add one just so I can show you what it looks like when there are 2 clients on a transaction. I'm just blanking on Jim's last name from the office. Oh my gosh. All right, well, it looks like he's taking Pam's last name. That's what he gets. Jim. All right, and I'll give him an email address here. Jim. All right. And now we can click Save. Halpert. There we go. And save on the bottom right there. Okay, so it is really important that you add, well, I suggest adding your clients in on the right-hand side here as opposed to the people section for this reason. So if you were to add your clients to this people section, so if you notice where my mouse is, there is a people section, which is very similar to dotloop, right? So when I first started using DocuSign, I was adding my clients to the people section. The reason I did not like that is because as soon as I added my client to this people section, as soon as I added, I'll answer that question in just a second. As soon as I add my client to the people section specifically, it sends them an email inviting them to a DocuSign room. And while that's great, I don't really want to send them an email if there's nothing for them to sign. It's kind of confusing. All right, so I don't suggest adding your clients to the people section. Instead, I suggest adding them to the details section. So to go over how we add our contacts in or our clients, in the details section, we click on edit on the top right. And we do have a little address book on the top right here. The little add people icon, I believe that's your DocuSign address book there, not command quite yet. And you can add your seller name here, so seller 1 and seller 2. Okay, so it's all on the right-hand side. And if you keep scrolling down, buyer 1 and 2, I believe, are down there as well. You should see you have the listing agent info, which is my info. And as I scroll down, that's when the buyer info starts as well, just in case you're doing a buyer transaction. That is down there, just far down. And then we'll click save. On the very bottom right, guys, save, there's a big blue button on the far right to save that contact info. Okay, so we added our clients and details in first. Now let's pull some documents in. That's where the fun begins, right? Pulling documents into your DocuSign room. So I'm switching over, I was in details, but now I'm going to the document section. Oh, good. How did you add the client to DocuSign? Great, I'm glad to hear it. All right, so I'm in the document section, and this is where you'll be spending most of your time adding forms to your DocuSign room, editing those, filling them out, and sending them to get signed. So we'll do that. We'll go ahead and pull in a form by clicking on add on the very top right. Can we add more than 2 sellers and buyers? Great question. So in DocuSign, it defaults on just the 2 buyers and sellers. However, when you go to actually send the document off for signatures, you could add more signature boxes, and I'll show you that. You can add more initial and signature boxes to the form. That is possible. Additional signature addendums are great for this as well. But yes, it is possible. So I'll show you that in just a second here. Hold tight on that question. So on the top right, we're clicking on add. In this case, we're going to first start on DocuSign forms. So that second option down. What it means by DocuSign forms is it means the forms that are interactive, meaning you can just open them and just start typing in them, okay, like you were probably used to in dotloop. So go ahead and click on that second option. That's DocuSign forms. And just a heads up, this is where things get a little different for each account depending on which market center you're in. So if your screen looks slightly different than mine, hang tight. Let me try to get through this document section and you can ask me questions. But so depending on your market center, you may need to add your NERDS ID and association name in order to have access to your forms. Now, there are not all associations on this list, right? This is the entire list right here. As you can see, that is not every single association in the entire United States. It's actually a pretty small list in comparison to how many associations there probably actually are. So if you do not see your association from that list or you're not getting this box at all, you're good. It's fine. If you do, however, see your association, go ahead and click on that and you can add in your NERDS ID. However, in this case, since it doesn't apply to my market center, I'm going to go ahead and click skip. And if you have any trouble with this section, guys, feel free to email support@scottleroymarketing.com and we can help you with this, okay? And you might not even get this box, okay? But you can pin your NERDS ID if your association is on that list to access those forms. But I'm going to click skip right now. And that will take me to the Add DocuSign Forms pop-up. So from here, I have 2 drop-downs. The first dropdown gives me two options. I can either view my entire forms library, or I can view it broken down into groups. And again, this will look different depending on which market center you're in. So if I select the first one, the library, for example, I then will have the option in the second dropdown to select my form libraries. Whereas if I select the second dropdown, so if I want the groups instead, which I personally like because it helps me find the forms a little easier because they're grouped and categorized. So I select the group option in the first dropdown. It then gives me the option in the second dropdown to pick, which kind of transaction I'm doing or forms I'm looking for. So in this case, I am doing a listing. And again, I just want to reiterate, your groups will be named differently, okay? Because these are, your Market Center staff is working with DocuSign to get all of your forms into DocuSign. So they are working on that. So this is different for each Market Center. If you're not seeing your forms, those are to come. I would just check in with your office staff on a timing for that. Okay. But if you do see groups, I recommend it. You can go ahead and select that group name. You will then have the option to search right here, or you can scroll through and find the document you're looking for. 1 second, let me look at that in just a second. Let me finish this up here. So once you find the form you're looking for, you'll go ahead and click the checkbox to the left of whatever the forms are that you'd like to pull in. And you can do multiple at once. And click Add. Okay, so you might have to play around with this a little bit, again, since it's specific to your Market Center, to search for your forms, play with the library or group options and so forth so you can find those forms and click Add. And again, if you're having trouble finding any specific forms, check with your Market Center staff. They might be able to guide you, or of course you can email support@scottleroymarketing.com and we'd be happy to take a look as well. I received the message that I do not have access to any forms. Please contact DocuSign Room Support Team for more info. Yeah, if you are receiving that message there that you do not have forms in there, your office staff is still working with DocuSign to get those forms added in. In the meantime, you can add PDFs to DocuSign so that you can type in them and send them off. I'm going to show that example next on how to add PDFs. So hang tight on that. But yeah, your forms are to come in DocuSign. All right, so from here, now that we have added in the forms that we want, all we need to do is start editing it, is click on it. So click on the form. Usually takes a little bit of time, but it will pull open that form with interactive fields. And you might notice, and what I mean by interactive fields, guys, is I mean that you can click and just start typing. So you should see an interactive form here. So you can click to start filling that out, and you might see some data auto-filling as well, right? So this data that's already on here is filling in from the details section where we started. But from here, so it's already saving me time. From here, though, I can go through and just start filling in the rest of the form. So, any dots, go ahead and click on to select that right away. One warning on these radio dots. Okay, radio dot is one of those circular checkboxes essentially. Once you click on some of the fields, you can't unselect these radio dots. So just be careful about that when you're selecting a radio dot. I have not found a workaround to removing those quite yet. All right, any fields you can simply click on to start typing in. So text fields, very similar to dot loop, guys, right? You should feel pretty comfortable with this if you've used dot loop. If not, it's very intuitive. It's simply clicking to start typing. So in this stage of the process, we're going to use our imagination to pretend we filled out the entire form. So we went through and completed the entire form. And then we need to click save and close, okay? This right here, attention, click save and close button to save your changes. Make sure to do that. I didn't many times, and it hurts when you do a bunch of work and you lose it all, okay? So learn from my mistakes. Click save and close every time after you finish it, okay? So before doing anything else, because we're about to send it off to get signed, but I want to save and close that first. All right. So You can now, what we've done is we've filled out the entire forms and I am ready to send this to my client to be electronically signed. So you can send forms, one at a time to your clients to be signed, or you can send multiple forms at once. So I'll show you that method first. So to select multiple forms at once to send, you'll notice if I hover my mouse over the form here, it gives me this little dot. So I can go ahead and click on the dot. Okay, to check that. So I've selected 2 forms here. Now, when I select these check dots, and only once I've checked those, these bulk options display. So if there are no forms that are checked, you won't see these options. Just not to confuse you. Okay, as soon as you check some forms, you'll see these bulk options. And we want to click on the option that looks like a pen, and that is the DocuSign option. That means send it to your clients to be electronically signed. Okay, so click on that DocuSign option. No, I have not dropped the initials and signatures yet, but that is coming. Hold tight. All right, so from here, I clicked on DocuSign. Hopefully you guys all saw that. Let me know if I need to show you that again, but we clicked on the forms, right? The check boxes at the top, and then you want to click on the little pen icon that is DocuSign from the bulk actions. Now from here, this is your envelope. Okay, this was not a thing in dotloop, so let me explain what an envelope is. I want you to picture snail mail here, all right? We have our forms in our hand. We are stuffing those forms in an envelope. We are addressing the front of it with we're addressing the front of the envelope, and then we're sending that off. That's where we are here. We're in the envelope. We are stuffing the forms right here into this envelope, and we are adding the recipients to the front of the envelope. So the only thing we really have to do here, guys, is scroll down to the Add Recipients to the Envelope section and click Add Recipients. In this case, we want to click Pre-Tagged Roles. So Add Recipients, Pre-Tagged Roles. Really, any of these will work. This one's just the easiest. Pre-tagged roles. So I'm going to let DocuSign know that seller 1 is this client, and seller 2, Jim Halpert, listing agent, me. Okay. And then I can click Add Selected. Okay, so now I have my recipients added to the front of the envelope, and now this section is, again, slightly different than dotloop, so I just want to explain a couple features that do differ. First of all, you can send, this is pretty cool, you can send it out in a different order. So for example, let's say I wanted to add my the mortgage broker for this transaction, and I want that mortgage broker to receive the contract after my clients have signed it. So I could add in the mortgage broker and add in the mortgage broker's email. And then I can give, instead of a 1 here on the left, I can give this a 2, which would mean that after anyone with a 1 receives and signs that, it would then automatically get sent to my mortgage broker. Okay, so you do have that option. That's just an example how you can use that there. You can also password protect the sign. So if you, password protect the form. So if you get a client who feels sketched out about electronic signatures, you'll definitely get that. You can password protect it to make them feel better about it. So instead, if you want to come to more and add access authentication, you can password protect that there. So, but you just have to tell them the password, just a heads up, all right? They won't be able to access the form unless you let them know that password. So just a couple differences from dotloop there. But really all we have to do here in the envelope is we have to add the recipients to the front of the envelope. Aside from that, some optional things. I always like to, I did add myself as the agent in the details. It's not necessarily necessary because you will pop up either way. It's just if you need to sign something, I would add yourself in here. So if it's a listing agreement that you need to sign, that's when I tend to add myself. If it's, you know, a form that just my clients sign, like an offer, then I just add my clients. So hopefully that makes sense. To answer a couple more of these questions, dropping initials and signatures is actually going to happen in the next step once we click next. All right, great. And I'm glad you found your forms. You guys are killing it. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the same combination I have on my luggage. Clearly a very sneaky password. No one would be able to guess it. Love it. That made my day. Thanks for that. All right. So what I would suggest, so we've done all that we have to do from here, but let's take a look at some additional things that we can do here. So envelope name in a transaction, you send a ton of forms, right? So I like to go ahead and put in here on the envelope name what I'm sending. So this one I'm sending the listing agreement and working with real estate agents. All right. So that if I go back to this envelope, I can see what was in it without having to open each one of them. Okay. You can also move the forms around. So if I want the document to, I want this document to be viewed first, I can switch the order of those. I can even add more documents here. And last but not least, again, all of these things I'm saying are optional. You can put an email subject. So, there's a default email that goes out that just tells them to sign the form. But if you want to say something like, hello, please see the forms to sign that we spoke about on our call today. Let me know if you have any questions. Or if you have to tell them, a specific part of the instructions on how to fill out the form or so forth, you can do that right from here. And let's click next on the top right. Yeah, I know I'm going through and explaining each one of these sections, so it's taking a painfully long time. But when you actually go to do this, guys, you can really fly through it because, the only thing we have to do here is add the recipients. Just a heads up. It won't be this painful when you actually go to do it. Plus, you won't have to hear my painful voice, so there's another one. All right, so from here, this is where you could go to add further signatures and initials. I know I had that question, and I'm going to actually show you how to add signatures and initials and text boxes in just a moment here. Okay, but just for right now, note that those fields are on the left-hand side and can be added to the form. Now, since this is an interactive form, right? And what do I mean by interactive? I mean that you can just click to start typing in it, right? Like we already did, right? We already filled out the entire form. So all I need to do on this section here is really send that off. Right? There's nothing I need to do. You can see if you start scrolling down, you can see that the signature fields are already dropped for your client. I'm going to show you guys more. So right here, these are my clients need to sign, and this is where I need to sign. So you've probably noticed that they are different colors. Now that corresponds on the top left here. You can see the different colors that correspond for each client. So my first client is blue, so I can scroll through and make sure I have blue fields and purple fields everywhere that my clients need to sign. And then just to double check that I set it up correctly for them to sign, I also like to click on the recipient preview on the very top right here. And then on the top left, so if I did that fast, I clicked on recipient preview on the very top right. And then, so that's what I'm looking at here. And I'm viewing this as my first client. So you might have to change that. Then I can go ahead and click start and just see exactly what it would look like from my client's perspective. Can my client sign all the fields that I want her to sign? Okay, so you can see how easy it is for your clients to actually go through and sign everything. Also, just one more thing to note, you do have the option to view it in an iPad or a phone view. So if your client especially indicates they only have their phone and you want to make sure all looks good, you can check that out here. I'm Xing out, guys, on the top right, if you're following along with me. I'm Xing out, top right. And I'm clicking send. That's all you gotta do. So we're clicking send here on the top right. So there's really not anything you have to do on this section if it's an interactive form. And again, interactive forms means, right, we already typed in the entire form. We already filled out the entire form. All we're doing here is we're sending it to our client to be signed. I see all the signature boxes. I click send. So, and then, all right, it'll let you know when it's been sent. And it will take you on over to the envelope section. So this is my envelope section here. So this is your first time in the envelope section, most likely. So welcome. So in this envelope section, it will show you every envelope that you've sent in this transaction and, you know, channel back to snail mail here, right? So that means literally every time I stuck my forms in an envelope, put the addresses on the front and stuck it in the mail. You'll see that each and every time right from here, okay? So, and if you need to sign, so you can see like right here, needs my signature, I can go ahead and click on that and I can sign that from here as well. Okay, so I clicked on the envelope and then it'll allow me to sign that from here. I can correct it, make any changes, or even resend it, which is really helpful. You know, if you get those clients who say they didn't receive the form, you can always resend it from here. But tell them to check spam too. All right. So just a note on that, this is in the envelope section. This will show you each time an envelope is sent out of your DocuSign room. So now that we have tackled interactive forms, we're going to switch gears a little bit. But before we do, I have a short little 10-minute video on this as well, what we just went over basically. So if you want to save these little videos I'm sending out, I try to create 10-minute tutorials of all these tips in class so that when you're actually in a transaction, you can pull up that short little video and follow along. All right, and so that's a short little 15-minute video on what we just covered, how to send out an interactive form. So now let's switch gears. Let's talk about sending PDFs. So in this document section, so I'm going to documents, we are going to add a PDF to our DocuSign room, and we can send that off to get signed or add fields, right? Okay, and let's talk about why we'd want to use this method real quick. So to do this, or let's say the agent on the other side doesn't use DocuSign. They emailed you a PDF of the offer to purchase. And so now you have this offer to purchase. Oh, but you can't bring it to your clients to get signed because, oh, you're locked in your house for the next million days. Okay, just kidding. But so we now need to send that PDF to your client to get that DocuSign. Right? So we have a PDF saved on our computer and we need our client to sign that. All right. So what I would do is I'd come up to add on the very top right, and if you are not where I am in the document section of my DocuSign room. Okay, make sure you see you're in DocuSign specifically. So I'm in DocuSign rooms. Oops, should I click that? So I'm in DocuSign specifically in the document section, just to make sure. And then I'm clicking add on the top right. In this case, we're doing computer, okay, because I have my PDF saved on my computer. So I want to grab that real quick. So I have it on my computer, so I'm going to find that offer that I have saved. If you have a PDF on your computer, feel free to just grab one to practice with. So all I did was click Add Computer. I browsed my files and I double clicked on the PDF to pull that in right away. Now to make any edits to a PDF, I'm going to go ahead and click on it. So click on the form to open that up. Actually, you're probably looking at your PDF, so stay there. I just want to point out these little icons right here on your forms, just the difference in the two now that we have a PDF. So you can see quickly which forms are PDFs and which ones are forms. Okay, these are your DocuSign forms. Also, when these forms come back signed, there's one more icon, and it is signed. It says signed when the form is actually signed. Favorite icon, personally. All right, so we click on the form, and that opens it up. Now you'll notice the nature of this form. The definition of a PDF means that you can't click to start typing, right? I can't click anywhere. I can't do anything to the form. All right, so we need to take this to be DocuSigned. Now I showed you how to DocuSign multiple forms at a time. This time, we're going to go ahead and click on the Document Actions option on the very top right of your form. It looks like an icon of a little piece of paper with a folded dog ear, a folded corner. And we have a bunch of options here. The one we're going to talk about next, though, is DocuSign. Okay, so that DocuSign option essentially always means sending that to your clients to be signed and adding fields and signature boxes, especially in this case. So I selected the DocuSign option. And now we're back in our trusty envelope, right? We took that form, we stuffed it in an envelope. So all we need to do here is add a recipient, quick and easy. All right, so now when we come to add recipient, slightly different because it's a PDF, but I'll go ahead and select the room participants. Please let me know if I lose anyone. I'm happy to back up and show you. Okay, so I am add recipients, room participants. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and add my 2 clients because that's who's signing, seller 1 and seller 2. And click add selected. So there are my clients, and we click next. See how quick that was? Very quick. All right, so we're just clicking next. On the top right. So again, all we do on the envelope here is we add our recipients. It's the only required step at least. And then click next on the top right. I think your question is going to lead us perfectly into the next question, or next topic. If we have a counteroffer, to a document that has been signed by buyers but not the sellers, how do we edit the amount of the counter in DocuSign? I tried, but I could not edit the amount. A good question. I'll actually touch on that as well in this example here. So hold tight on that. So I'm going to show you how to edit to make counter offers. Yeah, no problem. And also how to, just in general, send a PDF off to your clients to be signed. So, if you got this offer from the agent on the other side, you looked over everything, it looks great. You're happy with it. Your clients are in agreement. They want to sign. All you would have to do is scroll down to wherever the initial boxes are. And just imagine that the buyer's initials are already here, if you would. And now we need to add our client's initials for them to be able to sign. Okay, so this does not pop up automatically on a PDF, right? On the interactive form we were just looking at, these fields were already there. If it's a PDF, we have to manually add signature and initial fields. So to do that, on the top left here, you'll notice, again, let's take a look at the colors of our client, right? We have these colored dots. So Jim Halpert, my first contact, is yellow. So what I'll do is I'll come over here, click on this initial field on the left-hand side. Whoa, your screen is at least a minute behind everything I'm saying. Is that like that for everyone? Never gotten that feedback before. Let me know, that's super weird. So initials here, keep me posted guys if that keeps messing up. So initials here on the left-hand side, I'm clicking on, moving my mouse to wherever I'd like to line that up, and click to drop it. Okay, so now I have my first client. It's yellow, like the dot in correspondence to that first client. So now if I want to lay my second client's initial box, I need to change the color, add the initial box, click on the initial box, and then click to drop it. Okay, now in actual practice, I would probably go through and add all of, one client at a time to all the pages and then go through and add the second client. It just seems to be a bit quicker that way. All right, but you do need to add in those fields manually. Signature fields will be the exact same concept. I'm just going to show you guys so you feel comfortable. So if they need to sign here, so I have my signature box. Oh, and this is something that you need to know as well. These fields are not dated like they used to be in dotloop. So you do need to add date fields as well. So again, any initial or signature fields are not dated. So you just need to add the date field. Date signed. And date signed, right? And just note, see how I am, well, I messed up the dates, but you get the point. Well, this is good for you to show. So I messed up where I placed the first date sign. So if you accidentally mess up where you place a field, no worries. You can fix that by simply clicking on the field. Then hover your mouse over the edge of the field and click, and you'll then be able to move that around. But you do need to click on the field first to select it, and then you can move it. Just a heads up. So it's pretty easy to move around. So you would add in all the fields that you want your clients to sign. So that's one example, but let's take a look at the counteroffer example. So, let's say that you want to change, I'll take a look at your question just a minute after I explain this counteroffer. So let's say I got this signed contract, it's signed by the buyers. Now my sellers want to counter, they're not happy with the earnest money, or their name is incorrect, they go by Anthony instead of Tony, or you're pushing back the settlement date. Whatever the reason may be, especially if it's a fully executed contract and you need to change something small, okay? So how you would make changes to a PDF or a signed contract is the same general concept. So let's just say we are changing his name, right? Whatever it might be. We need to strike that out first. And this field's pretty hidden. So the strikeout field is the only field I ever switch to the markup tool. So on the far left, you'll see a gray toolbar. And so far, I haven't used any of these except this markup tool. Okay, so if you click on the little pencil icon, it has your line. So I can click on it. And I can then cross this out. So whatever data you're trying to, edit, you can go ahead and strike through. So I'll go ahead and click on one side. Then I can move my mouse to pull that across. All right. Now from here, so now that I've crossed that out, I need to go back to my standard fields. So you'll typically always stay on these standard fields right here. That's really the only reason I ever change on this left gray toolbar, just heads up. So now I need to add in a text field. So I'm going to put in some text here and drop that where I'd like it. Okay. So this next pieces of information is pretty interesting. So in this text here, I could go ahead and change this to the correct client's name. So it goes by Anthony. First of all, that's a pretty small text box. So I want to expand it. I'm going to do that by clicking on the field and taking one of these dots and expanding it down. I'm running out of time. All right, and then I can either double click on the field to start typing in it, or I can type over here. Okay. Now, as far as this field goes, remember how I said that any blue fields will be assigned to my client? So if you do not want your client to be able to fill in a field. One second, I'll read all these questions in just a second, guys. So if you want your clients to be able to fill in a field, right? So let's say, just for example, like on the residential property disclosure, for whatever reason, they need to fill out a field, or what items do not convey. You can drop a field, and if it's blue, right, or one of the colors that your clients are assigned to, they will be mandated to fill out that field. However, if you change this field to read only, and I'm going to remove that as a required field, so it's not required, and they can only read it. Okay, so I now have that edited here. And I also, of course, need to sign for any changes. So I need to add in initial boxes so your clients can sign. So on the right-hand side or wherever you'd like to drop that, I laid one initial box. Now I'm grabbing it for the other client, right? Clicking the initial box and laying that as well, right? So that's how you can make any changes to an existing signed document. And then what you would do is just go ahead and click send so that they can go ahead and sign these fields. So let me take a look at these questions real quick. All right, yeah, so there you go, counteroffer. Say there are multiple counteroffers and I want to start with a cleaner version of the contract. What would be the best way to do this? Should I start with a new envelope? Good question. So let me explain something real quick that might help with this. So, and this is different than dot loop, so this really threw me for a loop for a while. Okay, so when a form comes back signed in DocuSign, it comes back as a PDF. So signatures cannot be erased, which is great. I don't know if you guys remember in Dotloop when you had a fully signed document in Dotloop, if you made any changes to that document, it would erase the signatures, okay? Instead, how it works in DocuSign, when you receive a signed version back, it will be a PDF, meaning the signatures cannot be erased, which is really great. But then to make any edits, you would have to do what we just did. You would have to, strike through things, add in text boxes and initial fields to change any of those. So that's how it works in DocuSign. Let me know if you have questions on that. That is different than Dotloop. Can you put a text box over the old text or type over it? I don't think so from what I've seen. Let's try it. So I've tried to kind of white out something and it doesn't seem to white it out. Let's try. Let's just double check. Is my audio 2 minutes behind for anyone else? Let me know, guys. It's very weird. I've never heard that. Let me know if the audio is behind for anyone else. I mean, we're wrapping up class here, so I'll send over the recorded class as well. I'm sorry about that. No, audio seems to be good for me. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. I'm not sure why you're experiencing that issue over there, but I'll send you the recorded class you can watch. If you'd like to email me, support@scottleroymarketing.com. Okay, let's look at this. No, it doesn't really, cover the other text, unfortunately, so that doesn't work. Sorry about that. Let's see. I do have one more really important thing to show you guys if you can hang around for 1 second. Okay, good. Thank you for the feedback. Multiple lines of text to strike through, or do you have to add a line by line? I think you have to add line by line to strike through. That is a good point. But I think you have to strike line by line, which is kind of time consuming. Okay, guys, sorry, I know I'm a little over, but if you would just stick around with me for 5 more minutes, I need to show you guys how to then now add your documents to KW Command. Oh, here, I'll send over those written instructions as well. There you go. You can just click on that link and I'll show you written instructions. So what I'm going to show you is now how to add your forms to KW Command into the Documents section. I promise it'll take 5 minutes and you can go enjoy the rest of your Thursday. This is really, really important, guys, that you know this, because this is how you get paid, which is, I think, why we do this whole real estate thing. Okay, so on the top here, right, we have 2 tabs. We have our DocuSign account open, and that has a little icon of a blue house. And we also have Command open. For the longest time, my brain could not separate the difference between the document section in Command and what you do with DocuSign. What's the difference, right? So let me explain that real quick, right? This really helps clarify it for me. So DocuSign, right? We've been working in here. We added the forms, typed in them, and sent it to your clients to sign, right? This is a tool. DocuSign is a tool to work with your clients. So this tool goes from the agent to your client to get your forms filled out and signed. Now, once you've done that, once you have your forms signed in DocuSign here, okay, and I'll give you a little signed icon here when they're signed. You can try it out, sign a document and you can see it too. All right, you will then go into your Command document section. Okay, so this is the Command document section. In my opportunity, I'm in Documents, right? And this section here is how you submit your documents for review to your market center. So this section, Command document section, is for work between the agent to your market center staff, your office, your compliance, so you get paid. Whereas DocuSign is the communication between the agent and the client to get the form signed. Okay. Let me know if you have questions on that. Hopefully that helps, differentiate the two. So let me show you real quick how you'd add your documents to be signed. To be submitted for compliance review. So in this document section, and if you are not looking at the same screen I am simply just click on any of your opportunities to get into the details section. You just click on the opportunity name, and then we're in the document section here. Now on the left-hand side here, we have the option to pick checklists. Now your checklist will be different because this is created by your office staff. So in this pick a checklist type, I'm going to go ahead and select that it's a listing. And that will make a checklist appear. And this checklist is just that. These are not the actual forms. These are just the form names, like placeholders, to show you what needs to be uploaded so you can get that lovely commission check. So how we would add this in, you can add this in one by one on the right-hand side. So you can go ahead and click add a file, or you can attach multiple files at once, which is obviously a little quicker. So if I click attach multiple files here, it will show me my checklist. On the left-hand side, these are the forms I need to add to get paid. And on the right-hand side is the option to go ahead and add them. So I can either drag and drop here, or I can click here on the right-hand side to pull that in from my computer, right? Double click on the form. Or if you click on the DocuSign option on the very top, okay, you can pull these signed documents in from your DocuSign room specifically. Okay, that's that room we were just in. So this DocuSign room here, right, or I'm sorry, we're in DocuSign Select on the top. I can see that working with real estate agents here. I have that in my room. So this is pulling up the select bar, is pulling up all the forms that I have in this DocuSign room specifically. Okay, and so I can add that one in. I can connect that, you know, this document corresponds to this on the checklist and so forth. Once I do that, I click attach. There we go. We have the forms, so you can see the form is added on the right-hand side, and I'll give you a link to click on it to open it. All right, so that's what we need to see here. Once you have those all submitted in, you can go ahead and click submit to MC, and don't do it right now. Your office won't like me very much, but you'll want to click submit to MC once you have all of your forms in here so that you can get that commission check, okay? And check with your office staff on their policy on when they want you to be submitting to the Market Center for review and when they want you to be submitting the commission request here. But I do have short little tip videos on each section of this. So if there's any information that you want more details on, or if you were watching this class recorded, feel free to email support@scottleroymarketing.com. You can put attention my name, which is Leah. Okay, and let me know if there's any short videos that you would like to watch. I'm going to send over, all right, sent out some of these. Here are all the little 10-minute tip videos that I have for you guys that kind of break it up. So if you want to learn further on any of this, there are some really cool tools in here, like forwarding an email chain as a PDF into your DocuSign account. It's a pretty cool one, but check this out. All right, let me know if you have questions. Support@scottleroymarketing.com. Attention my name, which is Leah, L-E-A-H, and I'd be more than happy to help you through this entire DocuSign transition here. All right, guys, I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. All right, have a great quarantine weekend, guys. Take care.